So, hey guys, welcome to series number 3 or day number 3 of our 10-part training season entitled The 12 Months of Summer. Now, each piece is important in order for the machine or your blueprint to operate properly. So one of the first things that we had to get out of the way is a proper technician interaction and how to maximize those opportunities. Now we're going to move on to another one that's equally important, if not more so, and that's how to take advantage of retail sales opportunities that are going to allow you to get that extra money for the job, or when things are most competitive, give you that little bit of competitive edge in sales techniques and strategies and angles that can help you close. Even if you don't feel like you're a salesperson, you're going to pick up some tips here and learn how to use your personality in order to be successful in some of these steps. So with that said, I want to introduce to you Sam Wakefield. Many of you know him, most of you probably, of Close It Now, HVAC Sales Training. He is our sales training extraordinaire. So with that said, Sam, you there?
Yes, sir. I sure am.
Thank you, get it, my friend.
Appreciate that.
Appreciate you coming.
Awesome. Okay, let's do this. I'm going to make a couple quick adjustments on the sound here. All right, so we don't have an echo. All right. Is there an echo or are we good? Okay. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. First of all, who here has ever been in the sales process and you've heard those infamous words, raise your hand, I want to think about it? I know that it's been me. How about the other one, that just like that three-headed monster that, well, I've got to get 2 other bids, right? Yep. It's totally exactly what happens every time. So my name is Sam Wakefield. Thank you for having me. I know that you guys could spend an hour on a Sunday night doing literally anything else, but you've chosen to improve yourself, which is very powerful. So I commit to you to bring you 100%. If you'll commit to me to come right back with that, and let's make something magic happen tonight. Flip some switches that maybe I like to think of it. A lot of these things that we really talk about, especially the things that I like to train on, are things that we know, or that just the matter of understanding and recognizing something, it instantly changes. It's not like you have to learn a new skill or learn a new a new mindset or retrain the brain or anything. It's just recognition that's like, oh, that's an instant change, and it immediately sets you on a different path. And so it's really cool. Just like the interchange of use this word instead of this word, or recognize things that you maybe hadn't paid attention to before. So that's what I love to do, is those simple little tweaks that instantly get results. Who wants some instant results? Is that something that you guys could stand? So since we're going to be, so a couple of things we're going to cover are a very specific agenda for the sale. There's a lot of psychology behind what the order of things that you go through in your sales process. The things that need to, if you put them out of order, it completely destroys the credibility of certain pieces in that process. So that's one of the things we're going to learn tonight, is the order of the sale and the way it should go. Another is, so we don't have a ton of time, but another thing that I really want to dive into, and I know Eric's probably heard this, if you've listened to my podcast, I've covered this recently, is how to break down that resistance wall. How many of you have ever gone into a sales appointment and it feels like several steps along the way, there's like this instantly the homeowners, they like cross their arms, they start to stonewall you, you feel this frost come over the appointment, and you don't know why, just all of a sudden it's there. We're going to talk about a technique of how to bring that back down and get back into the flow without it being weird. So yeah, so since we're going to be spending so much time together, I'd like to take a second and introduce myself a little bit more. Why am I here in this position? So raise your hand if you'd like to give me the permission to do that. I would appreciate that. Thank you. So I've been in the industry about 15 years. I started off just like every single one of you. I was the attic rat. I was the guy that's like the tiniest corner of the attic. That's the place I lived at first, just like all of us. So I know what that's like. So of course grew from there, became foreman, did service for a while. I ended up being a partner and owning a company up in the Texas Panhandle. We covered 26 counties in the Texas Panhandle for about 5 years. And so I'm, of course, licensed in the state as well. I'm not just the sales guy. I've worked in all the different aspects of it. In getting into the sales portion of the industry, my very first year was, okay, here's a stack of leads and here's our price book, have fun. No, like you, I started out not having a clue what to do. So that's when I decided for things to change, I had to change. And for things to get better, I had to get better. And that's what's totally brought me around to this place where I'm at right now, because I decided to just devote my time and energy into learning techniques and sales process. I read every book, I listened to every podcast, I watched every YouTube video, flown all over the country and gone to sales trainings and seminars. So I have a pretty serious track record for winning awards in sales with our distributorship. So that brings us to what we're going to talk about tonight. First of all, I just want to say a big shout out to Mark. He's on here tonight. He's one of my associates. I've had the privilege. We're going to talk about him in a little bit. He is a really cool testimony that we're going to share with you here in a little while. But let's talk about the sales process. It starts with the very first phone call. It starts with, and I love that Joe Crisera was the last episode of this, because his whole pure motive service is beautiful. And this is a perfect springboard from there, because I like to call this sales from the inside out. You have to become, that's why I'm such a proponent for personal growth. I'm such a fan for becoming a better person, right? So become the person worth buying from. The very first question you have to ask yourself, would I buy from me? If I walked up to that house, and I rang the doorbell and I'm mirror image of myself in this moment, would I buy from myself? You know, and it's just a super quick, like, check yourself before you wreck yourself, right? The old saying. But it's really important, because, you know, if you've got crap all over your pants that you could wipe off, but you don't, everything, how you do anything is how you do everything. So enough about that. That's very, very important. So, but that's the foundation for what we do with the sales process. It's about serving the client first, doing what is best for them, and at the same time matching what is best for them to the products and services that you offer. So quickly what I'm going to do is go through the just handful of steps, kind of like a timeline of the appointment, and then we'll hit a pause and we'll go over some questions and stuff, and then we'll get into some psychology of why those things are in the order that they are. So very first thing is the phone call. Got to let them know you're on the way. It's also a chance for you to hear their voice and for them to hear your voice. The very first touch with you is important, because you can instantly start to, if they speak fast, you speak fast. If they speak slow, you speak slow. All these things that might seem like unimportant are super important, because you're instantly forming a bond with them. As you start to match what's going on there, people buy from people that they like, and they like people like themselves. And so that's the instant way to start to develop that rapport. So of course you show up. I'm not going to cover the details like park on the street, you know, those kind of things. We know, knock on the door and step back. Don't stand right on the door. Those kind of, you know, those details. We know that. Pete's done a fantastic job of covering that. But when you get into the house, don't let them take control. And this is one of the first elements that I think so many of us, especially without understanding this, let happen is instantly raise your hand if the homeowner said, oh, hey, okay, let me show you the furnace. And they turn around and take off. And it's just like, okay, so then you're following them through the house and they're in control of the appointment at that moment and you've lost control. Has that ever happened to anybody? And so the way to deflect that is just really simple. It's one of those tiny expressions again, and it's just, absolutely, I want to see that furnace, or absolutely, I want to see the air conditioner. But first, is there somewhere I can set some of my stuff down? Because if you're like me, you go in there and you've got your bag or your booklet or, you know, whatever it is, you're not going to look at any, and they know this, but you're not going to look at it with your handful of all your stuff anyway. So just say, but first, is there somewhere I can set this down? And from that moment is the moment you go to work. Everything up till then can be small talk, but that's when you go to work. So they take you to the table, they take you to wherever, countertop, and that is where you go into your introduction. And this is the first really key component of your visit, because the introduction is where you're going to set in place a handful of things that you'll be able to refer to at the back end of the sale, that these credibility pieces that you have to put in place first. Because if you bring them up later, they don't understand, they don't give credibility that they should to what you're saying so far. Is all this making sense to everybody? Yes? Awesome. So, and a good example of that is when you're talking about at the back end, if you don't have credibility for your experience, and you're going through and you're talking about the different things that you want to do to maybe change airflow or whatever's going on in the house, if they don't know that your credibility and your experience, everything you say up to that point, they hold at lower regard. And it's very important that you set that credibility piece in place first, so when they know you're the expert, then they'll listen, and it opens that door. So in your introduction, you want to cover just a tiny amount, a handful of things. It doesn't have to be long. In fact, don't make it long, because you're going to be talking about interspersing tidbits about you and your company throughout the process. But I'm going to just do my intro and agenda really quick. And so after the intro is the agenda. You're just going to let them know what the appointment is going to consist of, because people want to be led in this process. You don't go to the doctor's office and they expect you to lead the process. No, they say, okay, here's my questions. We're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, because they're the expert. And remember, you're not going there to be their friend. You're going there to be friendly. That doesn't mean sit down and chit chat for 45 minutes and not cover business. They don't expect you to take them to lunch next week. So be friendly. But so the intro mine sounds just like this. It's so, hey, Pete, my client, in fact, Pete, role play with me. Hey, Pete.
Hey, Sam.
My clients tell me it's important to know about the company and the person they're working with, and we think that's really important too. So I'd like to take a second and tell you about me and my company. Would that be all right?
That would be fine. I'd like to hear about that.
Oh, great. Okay, cool. So, with our company, we're a local family-owned company. We're not a chain or a franchise like any of the other big companies are in town, which of course that means that you're more than just a number. We like to build relationships, so we're there for you. With our brand, we're a factory authorized dealer. So that means all of our people are our employees. We don't use any subcontractors. So we're background tested, drug screen, factory trained, and of course manipulate this to what works for your company. But right. And that also means that, so we know exactly who we're putting in your home, and we know what they know, which is really important. And so with that, we're the winner of what's called our President's Award with our manufacturer. Less than 1% of companies in all of North America win this award. There's two key criteria that make that important. One is customer reviews and satisfaction rating, just like you saw online. The other is, of course, lower number of early breakdowns. With a new system, you get a 10-year part warranty. So lower number of early breakdowns than any of the other companies around installing the same brand. Great.
I'm muted first. Sorry about that. I'm muted. But go ahead. Good job. Good job. Keep going.
So that's it. That's about the company. And that's all that I say. And there's those key points in there because we can refer to them back in the future and say, when they bring up a brand question or when they bring up questions about the installation, all those things, we just covered that in like a handful of words to say, okay, remember we talked about that award, this pertains to this. And so we, in that tiny amount of space, we set up all of this, all this huge credibility. Is this making sense so far?
Very good.
And every single visit, I do this. And people who use this process, what we found is their numbers are instantly changing, because that credibility, because so many times you look at stuff right away, and when you try to put that credibility piece at the end, it's kind of like an afterthought of, oh yeah, I better tell you about me. You don't even know who you're talking to. So it's so important to do yourself first. And so that was the company. And then to go and get into myself. So the umbrella is the company, and then talk about yourself. So with my intro, it's like, so I've been in the industry for 15 years. And it's exactly what I gave to you guys to start with. I literally gave you my intro in a house every single time when I'm in there. That's what I just introduced to you guys. And that's my quick history. And it was super short.
Okay. So Sam, why do you do that every single time? Don't you feel like you get bored with repeating that? What's the point? That's a softball pitch, by the way.
That is a great question. Yeah, it is. So yes, I know it so well that I could do it in my sleep. I don't even have to think about it. And that's the important part, is I don't have to think about it. So I'm constantly watching how everything I say is landing on the people that I'm talking to, because I know that I've polished it. Also, at the same time, do you think that the Rolling Stones get tired of playing Satisfaction? But it's a hit, right? You think they've played it thousands and thousands of times, but that's what people want to hear. And every single time there's new people that have never heard it. And it hits them in a different way. Even people that have heard it 1,000 times, you talk to somebody who's a fan, they're going to say, oh, you know what? This time it was different. And so that's part of it. But you got to set, the important part is you got to set the credibility piece. Make it your favorite song, because if they don't understand who you are, why are they going to buy from you? Did that answer your question?
I had to unmute. Very well put. Yes, exactly. Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Listen, guys, if you're selling techs, or if you're tech and you're changing hats, you're going to be going up against a professional. You're going to be competing against somebody like Sam, and you may know much better than Sam ever would know technically. But how do you convey that? You got to follow the process. So I don't mean to steal your thunder, but that's what it's about. Step 1, step 2, step 3, in that order, and don't miss a step. But keep going, Sam. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, it's beautiful. I love it. And so for like technicians too, I actually have had people reach out to me that, strictly technicians, don't really do sales, maybe some system enhancements and accessories. And especially this one girl in Phoenix, Jenny, she had such a cool transformation. She's literally, her position is just strictly a maintenance tech. She's doing PMs, and her job is to upsell system enhancements. Anything else she farms out to somebody else. Well, she was getting $20 a visit if she didn't sell anything. And so this is super important and super critical. And thank you. It actually takes us to the next piece, which is, we're going to take a little detour into psychology for a minute. The way to open up the homeowner's mind to literally be open to anything you want to tell them and be open to the message you want to convey is by asking permission. We've got to ask permission. That's why at the very beginning of my intro, if you remember back just a minute ago, I said, our clients tell us it's important to know about the company and the person they're working with. And we think that's important as well. So I'd like to take a minute to tell you about me and myself. Would that be all right? And of course, you gave me permission. And then instantly you feel the energy change around that. And so with every single step of the way. So what I coached her with was just, people know why she's there. The company calls them to set it up. Same thing with the service visit. If you ask permission at the beginning, they're literally going to open their mind to anything that you want to propose to them. So that means, okay, I'm here for your service call. Before I get started, would you mind if I ask you a few questions so I can help you better? And so just that act of asking permission, and of course they're always going to say yes. They say, well, great, okay. And then you dive into whatever questions that you want to ask about. And we're actually going to get to that here in a minute. And this is going to be, what time we got? 8:20. Cool. That's going to be the bulk of tonight, and how to maximize every single appointment year round. So we're not, especially as it slows down, we've got to squeeze every single dollar we can out of the leads that we have, because we know it slows down. And it's not, and I'm not talking about taking advantage. I'm talking about optimizing our opportunities in serving people better. So just like Joe was talking about the other night, and actually my gift to you guys is that make sure to email Pete about, what's the email address, Pete, since we're talking about it?
It's the name of the group, HVAC Greatness. Just add @Gmail. I'll put it over in the comments for you. Don't worry about it.
Awesome. Perfect. So make sure to email Pete, because my gift to you, everyone, is my version of the homeowner questionnaire. And so there's a handful of reasons that you use an actual questionnaire. Raise your hand right now if you actually use something that's printed as far as a questionnaire, or do you just kind of wing it when you're asking questions? Does everybody use a form? No? Okay. So you're going to get one. If you don't, if you have one, reference it. But you're going to get a copy of mine. And what it does, and actually Mark can attest to this, he's been using it. When you show up prepared, it makes a massive difference in the homeowner's eyes. When you pull out a form that has prepared questions, the questionnaire is powerful, yeah. When you pull out a form that has prepared questions, and it shows, one, that you are intentional about helping them. It also shows that you're listening, because if you're actually making a note as they respond, and remember, this is one of those other concepts, listen to understand. Don't just listen to respond. Listen to understand. So when you're listening to understand, that means when you ask a question like, Pete, when some rooms are cool, are there other rooms in your house that are warmer than the rest? And then shut up and listen.
Am I answering that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that bonus room above the garage, it's dog cold during the winter, and it's blistering hot during the summer, and it doesn't matter what the house thermostat does, it just never seems to catch up.
Oh my gosh. So tell me more about that. How do you use that room?
Well, right now we're not using it except for when it's mild out, to be honest with you, because I tried to take a nap up there one time, and I woke up soaking wet and sweat, and so I moved down to the basement.
Wow. Okay. Wow. So you bought a house and you can't even use part of it.
Yeah, the builder should have taken care of that. Maybe I ought to go talk to my attorney.
Well, maybe so. Well, I'll tell you what, if we could give you part of your house back and make it usable again, is that something that you would be interested in me taking a look at and taking care of for you?
Oh God, yes. Instead of being in the doghouse with my wife, I got someplace comfortable to go to. That would be nice.
I love it. I love it. So I'm just going to, as I'm making notes here, I just want to make sure that that's definitely something important that you want us to take care of, right?
Yeah. That would really be nice if you could do that,
great.
Sam.
Great. And so again, same concept, double lock it in. But this is more than just asking the question and Pete saying, yeah, that room is hot, that room is cold. Find out how they use the room or don't use the room and react to it. We're not just monotone, react to it. And again, this is about make this fit your personality. Clearly, I am a big personality. I'm very exuberant with a lot of my actions. However, every single person, even if you're real low key, you can show up as the best version of yourself, and the way that you can react. If Pete's telling me he can't use that room for most of the year, I'm going to have a response, and you should too. Be like, oh my gosh, that's awful. Tell me more about that. What would you like to use that room for? And get them talking about, put them situationally in that space. And, oh man, I would love to use that room for this. Is all this stuff making sense to you guys? Yes? Cool. I get fired up about this because it's my passion. So the intro and agenda, and then you've asked the permission question. Before I get started looking around, would you mind if I ask you a few questions so I can help you best? And then go into the questionnaire. And the questionnaire, like Mark was saying, it's good. It's so powerful. It shows you're prepared. It shows you're listening to understand, and then ask the deeper questions with each response. If somebody is like, no, that's not a problem, oh, then move on. Don't beat a dead horse with the questionnaire. But importantly, it really goes through, and you'll see in the questionnaire, there's 4 different sections. One is about the people that live there, and some questions about how they, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your house as far as energy efficiency? On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate your house as far as overall comfort? So it's kind of general questions. There's a wintertime section, there's a summertime section, and then there's a health and safety and building durability section. And as you go through all these, there's some really powerful questions that you'll see them. I'm not going to take the time on this call to go through each of those questions. That's something we can, reach out to me. We can do some other time. And write this down, make a note. After you've asked all of these questions, say, okay, great. Now it's, the next steps are, I'm going to go look around, get some measurements. Feel free to come with me if you want, because if you can drag that homeowner into the attic with you, do it. Get them up there, get them sweating, or into the basement. Get them down there in the musty, whatever it is. Get them situationally in the space so you can point things out firsthand, because it's really powerful. And so I always ask them, hey, come with me if you want. If not, I'll take plenty of pictures so I can show you what's going on. And here's the important question. Write this one down. If I see anything else related to health and safety, energy savings, or building durability, while I'm looking around, would you like me to bring it to your attention? And you'll never get a no on that question. And that permission question literally gives you the ability to offer anything any other product or service that you do. They just gave you permission to show them, to share with them, to present it, to offer it, because they're literally saying, if you see anything else.
Hey, Sam, repeat that question again. That was awesome. A little slower. I write fast, but not that fast.
Yeah, it's fine. Yeah, we'll do it again. It's a powerful one. If I see anything else during my investigation that has to do with health and safety, energy savings, or building durability, would you like me to bring it to your attention? Yeah. And so by doing that, they've given you permission to offer literally anything you want. Because and that brings down that resistance wall again. And so twice now we've asked for permission, one to ask them the questions, and also to present, basically to look at anything we want to in their house.
Hey, Sam.
That way, when it comes time at the end to actually present whatever it is, and obviously use some integrity.
Hey, Sam.
Oh, sorry, you got a question?
Yeah. What would you list under building durability?
Oh, yeah. So things like, if you see like wood rotting out somewhere, if you see, how many times have you gone in a house and they've got plumbing leaks, things like that. How many times have you seen just anything else that could be damaging to the house? Bring it to their attention. Even if it's something you don't do, the fact that you're educating them on, hey, while I was there, I saw this. You really need to get this taken care of. I have a great referral, or I've got a partner program with somebody, or just if you have somebody that you use it. A good example, I was going through an attic one time, and there was about a dozen wasp nests in this attic that were live. They were hot. And the guy had no clue. So I took pictures of them while I was up there. I come down, I'm like, dude, this is serious. He ended up not even using us, but he left us a 4-star review because I did that. So that was really powerful. So those kinds of things. That makes sense? Cool. So with that questionnaire, or with that question, it takes you into your investigation process. And here's, again, where the integrity comes in. Don't offer them stuff they don't need. People buy what they want, not what they need. At the same time, if they've, if you do insulation and they're 2 inches less than like current code or what you would recommend, seriously, use some common sense here. So just the disclaimer for that. And I know all of you guys are men of integrity, or you wouldn't be on this training right now. So I won't stay there too long. But yeah, so that's important. So then you do your investigation process. They get everything compiled, put together. And your investigation process is one, not so much to doing this crazy discovery of, pulling their house apart. I mean, if you're like me, you can, in 30 seconds, just about know everything that's going on in the house and know what our solutions are, right? I mean, you've got the training, you've got the knowledge, you've got the skills, the technical side. And so that is less about that. And it's much more about putting together a plan in your mind of how to match what we do to what they said that they wanted in the questionnaire. Uncovering those hot buttons in the questionnaire of, okay, yeah, little Jenny's room in the corner of the house is hot, or Pete's room above the garage, his frog, finished room over garage, that's the frog, right? And use silly terminology with the homeowners, they love it. But having the ability to uncover those hot buttons, that's your investigation time, is really figuring out, connecting those dots. Because when you go back to the homeowner, what you say is, remember when I asked you if I found anything else? Well, here's what I found, and shown on pictures, or not if you don't find anything. But you're sitting back down and you're going to go over your options. So quick pop out, raise your hand. Do you offer all of your different models of equipment every time, all the way to the top? Does everybody offer everything? Yes? No? Okay. Sweet. So that's something. So just like Joe was saying, the great Wayne Gretzky quote, you miss all the shots you don't take. You would be so amazed at the people that say, you know what, I think I'll take that top option. And that you never would have expected. I learned years and years ago, don't judge a book by its cover. I've literally gone into houses that weren't square or level, that come out of the back room with a roll of $100 bills and buy the best thing you can offer. They will literally say yes to anything you offer them, and that's just who they are. So don't be scared to offer things. Okay, so we've covered a lot so far. Let's open up for questions for a minute before we go any further. How's that sound, Pete? You're still muted.
No, I hate Windows. It was the little bar at the bottom pops up and I couldn't unmute.
That's cool.
No, that's a great overview. So listen, guys, the point is there's a process. If you're unclear on any of these steps, just go ahead and start filling these in. Obviously, there's an entire process that's involved. You need every step. What about, let me ask you this, Sam. You said that you were going to send some free gifts. Or what were you going to send specifically that directly relates to what we're talking about right now in terms of the process? Or is it something else? I don't mean to put words in your mouth. Yeah. Yeah,
the complete homeowner questionnaire that I use, that I've developed, that has all those 4 sections, all the questions on it. It's a one page. Okay. It's not a huge thing, but it's one page to go through with the homeowner and to investigate that process.
Okay. All right. Do you print the agenda by any chance? Do you print the agenda? The reason I ask that, this is kind of a side angle, this coming out of left field, I know, but go ahead.
Yeah, no, so great question. So I am actually working on developing that. And it's obviously not necessarily to show the homeowner, but I'm working on a bullet pointed reminder for yourself not to miss steps in the home.
Okay. All right. Good.
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah, for sure. So that'll be ready really quickly. In fact, everybody who, if you email and you want the questionnaire, as soon as that's developed, I'll get that to you as well as a tool.
Somebody else had a question?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Go ahead, George.
So you walk in with an actual questionnaire?
Yes.
Okay. I don't know. That's different.
Why is that?
I just, it's just different. I don't do it like that. And I'm not saying my way's right and your way's wrong. I'm not saying that at all.
Mm-hmm.
But I have to reverse engineer a lot of the questions, like you were talking about the frog room. Instead of asking them which room's the hottest, which room's the coldest, I'm in the South, so everything's fine when I know it's not. However, I have to give that little bit of when I know the frog room does not get cool in the summer, I have to reverse engineer and say, man, I bet you guys hang out up in the bonus room a lot because it's really cool up there. And then the truth comes out.
Right.
So
yeah, absolutely.
But when you talk about giving the options, now you don't either repair or new equipment. Are you tying that each specific line item to somewhere in your questionnaire to a specific individual in the home?
That is a great question. So usually at this point, what we're talking about, there's typically not a repair option. We're already past that. So we're into people who've decided that it's the best time to replace. And I've done it both ways. Sometimes that's an option. But the short answer is every chance that I can, I do. I tie it to something. So, and we haven't quite gotten there. So how you present your options basically eliminates the apples to apples conversation. Because how many of you have heard, oh, I just want to see apples to apples. What do you make sure it's apples to apples? I get so tired of apples to apples. But the way you present it completely eliminates that. So yes. So for example, George, you've got the room over the garage. It's in your house. And like I was going through with Pete, we've talked about how you can't use that room part of the year and all these things, but you would like to be able to use it more. We've already established that throughout the questionnaire. So then in the investigation process, when you're actually looking at it, you realize, okay, simple fix, they need a return up there, maybe another supply duct. They just need some better airflow. Simple example. They need a return and another supply in that room, and that's going to fix the problem, right? So, and I'm in the South too. I'm in Austin, Texas. So I feel you. People are very smoke screen on the first response. That's why asking the deeper questions, and great job with that. But so once you figured out what the solution is, when you're coming back around to present your solutions, the way that I typically go about this and the way that I coach to go about it is the conversation needs to look like this. We'll get back to that in a minute, Wayne. Thanks for that question. So what it looks like is, okay, now George, remember earlier we talked about how uncomfortable that room is above the garage, right? And you're nodding and you're shaking your head. And they're like, oh yeah, okay, great. Well, here's what, would you like to see what I found is the problem? So you ask permission, show them and explain to them what's going on. And can you see how this is causing that room to be uncomfortable? Show them the solution. So what we need to do is add this return. It needs more air in there. We're going to circulate the air. Can you see how this is the solution? You can, great. Because they have to see. It's not enough for you to see how this is the solution for that problem. If you're the only one that sees that's the solution, they're never going to say yes because they don't quite get it. So ask the question, lock it in. Can you see how this is the solution for taking care of that room? And when they say yes, say, great. Let's put that into fixing this. Let's go ahead and get it down. Let's put it down to fix the house. Sound good? And so you've asked permission. And so it has nothing to do with, well, it's going to be this much for this return. It's going to be this much for this supply. You're selling a solution. You're not selling ductwork. And that's the big difference and why the homeowner questionnaire is important, because you just added, what, $800 worth of ductwork into the project that wasn't there before. Okay. Does that make sense? Did that answer your question?
Yeah. Yeah, I see where you're going with it. Yeah.
Okay.
I guess you guys can hear me. Hell, I don't know.
Yeah,
I
we
can hear you,
hear.
George. Hey, let me interject something. Is it okay, Sam?
Absolutely.
Look, George's question is awesome, and I think I see something additional. And is it okay if I share something? Look, Sam's got. He mentioned his agenda. I'm going to share with you my version. It might be the same thing. We went to a lot of the same classes. Let's see here. Tell me you can see this. Everybody see this? This is called. Everybody can see it. Thumbs up, please, 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 please.
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, okay. So this is called the agenda close, but it's actually the opener. So what some people will literally do is they print on their letterhead an agenda. Now imagine some mechanic came out there in his uniform, did a quick quote, and left him a bid, and here you come. You dress a cut above. You have a photo ID badge. You go through the processes that Sam's talking about. You step back. You have a questionnaire. You have credibility that you're building. And you go through, and you, on your letterhead, have 2 identical copies of our agenda. And you say something like this: we realize that your time is valuable and that it is an important investment in your home, your family's health, and their comfort. We understand how important it is for you to make the best choice possible for you and your family. For that reason, I've created this brief itinerary or agenda so that we can accurately and thoroughly cover all of your needs and wants together without missing anything. This allows us to be as efficient and respectful with your time as possible. Now, this shows you as a professional. Nobody's going to come in and lay out an agenda and say, let's talk about this in step 1. So here's your agenda. You come in and you put today's Monday, whatever date, and this is your company with Mr. and Mrs. Anthony Klein at their address. Okay, and you're going to put spaces in here, obviously. Item number 1 is we're going to briefly interview the homeowner and with the detailed reasons for this meeting. So why are you calling us out? So we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to go through the company's efficient and organized checklist that will help you determine your family's needs, your family's wants, your family's interests, and everything that you need for your home comfort system. So we're going to extract that out from you, right? Through our detailed questionnaire. And then we're going to prioritize the performance options. And guys, this is your benefits. This is not your features. Don't talk about your bells and whistles. Talk about your air is going to be crisper. Your dust is going to be on the house is going to be drastically reduced. You're going to benefit here. You're going to benefit there. But the point is, we have an agenda: step 4, step 5, step 6, step 7, and you're basically all you're doing is you're establishing professionalism, and you're telling them we're going to go through this step, and then that step, and then the other step, and then you leave spaces in there, big letters, so that they don't have to wear glasses like me if they don't have to, and they can take notes on their copy, you take notes on your copy, and now we're conducting ourselves as professionals. This is elevating yourself to another level. This is raising the bar. This is setting yourself apart from the competition. We're going to do that in more steps than just one-liners and things like that. We started talking about the trucks. We started talking about your service technicians and their interaction. And we're talking about Sam's actual detailed process. Are you licensed? You darn straight. Here's a copy of our license. Here's a copy of our insurance. Here's our copy of our Better Business Bureau, blah, 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 all the stuff that Sam's got in his whole package. I don't want to steal your thunder, because I know you've got all this stuff in detail that's on part of an additional program. But the point is, it's your structure. It's your organization. It's actually having a printed copy that shows that you aren't missing anything. Your homeowner is going to get everything addressed. Nothing's going to be missed. That's why we do it like this. That's why we do it like this. It's not, and it really, when you start offering your options, and like Sam said, on a scale of 1 to 10, how important is indoor air quality to you, or healthier air to you? Well, if they say that's a 10, or like the bonus room or the frog room, if they say that's a 10, then that's part of your solution. But we start narrowing down, and we lay out all these options and put them in charge. But when they feel like Sam said, taking them through and making them part of the problem, they're participating in this. We did this together. Now they're invested. Now they're invested. I'm sorry. I wanted to throw that agenda in there because that was a good point.
I will say I realized that I actually skipped the agenda when I was talking about the intro, and we went right to the questionnaire. The agenda that I kind of train is, and that I typically use is, first of all, what we're going to, so I have a quick agenda to be most efficient and to help you best. I'd like to go over that with you right now. Is that okay? And so they, of course, give permission again. And then, so first of all, we're going to go over some questions about your home. You get to tell me what you're experiencing and what your concerns are. Then, based on your answers, that's when I'm going to go around and investigate the whole house, including the attic and basement or crawl space. Then what we're going to do is sit back down and work together, and I'll show you everything that I found, and we're going to work together to come up with a proposal that you'll accept. Sound great? Yeah, so that's the agenda.
Exactly. Hey, we got a question over in the in the chat box. Sam, they want to know when putting down options. This was from Wayne McKinney. When putting down options, do you use this on a handwritten invoice or document or a tablet, or what do you do?
Yeah, so that's a great question. It's a little bit fluid, depending on the homeowner. I'm working with an organization right now for a digital presentation, some software for quoting. That as soon as it's ready and I've got that worked out, everyone, and this is not a sales thing, just everyone who connects to them through me is going to get a discount. So that's going to be cool. So that's what I'm working on for everybody to offer it. But right now, the current flow is I've got a menu that has all the sizing, all of the combinations laid out. It just has all the pricing. And so it would just basically sit down and go over. I'm frozen. Oh no. Am I frozen for everybody or just?
Oh, you're good on our end. You're good. You're good.
Okay,
Keep going.
That's you, Darren. So yeah, so just the menu that goes over, shows all the pricing right on the spot. The important part before you ever show pricing though, and there was a video actually that Joe Crisera put in the group today, is you've got to go through the options first. You've got to go through each of the levels and show them the benefits, just like you're talking about. Show them the benefits. What time is it? Ooh, we don't have time. I have a very specific method of presenting the equipment that I've developed over the last couple of years that's really, really powerful. In fact, this is a great time to talk about just Mark's testimony. Mark, that's on the call tonight. He's been coaching with me for a little while. This is the power of the testimony. He's had his business for, I think he said 3 years. Has never sold anything other than single stage equipment. The very first week he used this process, he sold his very first variable speed system. So huge shout out to Mark, but it's because just putting these right keys in place. We worked on his intro and a couple other things, and instantly credibility, and you used the homeowner questionnaire, and instantly the credibility went way up. And so they were open to purchasing something better because they sat down and said, okay, you know what, instead of just rushing through and just, it was a compressor down, the guy tells him, what's the cheapest way I can get out of this? And so he says, you know what, instead of just giving the basic answer of what's this much for the basic system, he said, you know what, let's go inside and sit down for a minute and I can show you everything that's available. And he said, as soon as he got to the higher end variable speed equipment, the guy got really interested in it and said, you know what, that sounds great. And so, yeah, so good job, Mark. But that's how this process works. It's education first and then listening to understand.
The reason I asked that question was, excuse me, but the reason why I asked that question is when I go out on an estimate, I give them my pamphlet of all the equipment that I offer, and then I come back to my house and I'll send them an email, an estimate of
okay.
So right now I don't have a form, menu list of the options to show them. I give them a pamphlet.
Is that because you don't have time in your appointment because you're booked solid, or is it just because I'm small. You don't have the resources together to quickly get something down for them?
Right. So basically, so I started my business 3 years ago. I'm pretty small. I have 2 installers. I do all my service work. I go out and do all my estimates. So yeah, lame excuse, but yeah, I don't have a time to create a form, a menu to lay out and give to the customer. But I do have, I do create a folder when I go out and show them a basic, the economy 13 SEER AC with just a basic furnace. And then I got this 2-stage furnace with the 16 SEER model. And then for the furnace, variable speed or ACM options.
Where are you located?
Colorado.
What part?
Colorado Springs.
Okay. So I know the area really well. What brand are you?
I sell Bryant and I sell Mana.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's Wally's background, right?
Right. Yep.
So, obviously, there's if there's people in your market doing it, then they've proven it, which is awesome.
Right.
So people are used to that kind of process of. I would highly recommend you to consider getting a menu, because the people there are used to that process in your marketplace, and it's been proven to be pretty effective and powerful. So something to think about. But I do a massive amount of email quotes too. There's a template that it just has been developed by people in our company, that quick brief descriptions of each one, because you've explained them in the house. You've taken the time to go through and draw it out. So when you get the pricing back to them, you've got links to each one and all that. And I do, because I'm in Austin, and this is a fast moving town. I mean, they want you in and out quickly. So a lot of times there's not time to present in-house. So yeah, it can be both ways.
Can I throw a thought in there? Can I throw a thought in there, Sam? May I interject just a second?
Yep.
Yeah, one thing. Oh, yeah, in Colorado Springs. I was telling Wayne on one of the other ones. Wayne, have you ever heard of Hitch and Poach? I think it was Hitch and Post Apartments in Fountain, Colorado. Anyway, 35 years ago, that's where I lived. It was pretty country down there. Hitch and Poach Apartments. Hitch and Post Apartments. But anyway, to your question, when you're taking and going through this process, and you're having to go back and you're emailing and everything else, if you would take and reduce your process down to a simplified proposal form, particularly if things are filled out in a way that is check, 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 fill in a little bit, but check a lot, maybe that would help you out. But having something like that is really going to save you time in the long run. And it's a lot easier to say no via email than it is to look you in the face after you just did all that work on estimating and maybe doing a load calculation and building rapport and doing all this stuff, for them to look you in the face and say, nah, get out of my house. Usually, it's with difficulty that they're showing you the door if for some reason you didn't measure up. Now, other thing I would probably concern or bring to your attention, it was a concern of mine, and I know Sam knows this more than anybody. What I did when I first started selling is I was selling Trane, and I would do such a good job, the model number this, the model number that, and I was all about that product. And you know what they did? They loved it. And after I left, they called everybody and laid my quote down and said, this is the equipment that I want. I sold them on Trane. I didn't sell them on Ramsey services. And so that's why we have these systems that Sam's talking about. So there's time for building rapport. There's time for building credibility. There's time for reinforcing credibility. There's time for reinforcing the other. But mostly, if you're selling a trip to the Bahamas, stop selling them on the airplane ride and the taxi ride and the commute through the airplane or whatever else it gets you to the destination. Sell them on the everything that's waiting on you in the Bahamas. So don't sell them about this technical and that technical, and it's going to be pretty sitting in your closet or whatever. It's about, you're going to feel this. You're going to love this. Your energy bills, you. It's all benefits, because you're taking your customers' needs and directly matching them with your offer. But if you don't translate your offer to something they understand, then they won't get you. They won't realize what a good job you're doing unless you can communicate that with. So go down a little bit on the technical and on the trade, and figure out the way that is the best way to communicate that in a way that they understand in your market. And I'm sorry to interject so much.
No, you're good. And that's exactly what I was talking about earlier. Is the that finished room over the garage, Pete. Man, it's good. So let's take it. We've gone through the process. We've investigated. We've looked around. We've got our solutions together. Presenting the solutions back, and this is totally it. So yeah, if all of the extras besides just the equipment. So It's not that hard to develop you a menu for strictly the equipment. You don't have to have all the stuff extras. This will save you a massive amount of time. And I hear a lot of people, they're like, oh man, I can't use the questionnaire. I can't do all this stuff because it takes too much time. Guess how long my average appointment is? 45 minutes. That's it, start to finish, 45 minutes. And we've gone from blind date to marriage proposal for, $20, $30, $40,000 and getting the signature, because the process, it's not that I'm that amazing, it's the process and the things in place. So when you're turning the corner and presenting back at the end, it's like, okay, Pete, now remember we talked about that finished room above the garage. Wouldn't it be cool, because you said you couldn't use it in the winter, and I see you're a big football fan, having your whole family over and watching the Super Bowl up there and being nice and comfortable. That would be amazing this year, wouldn't it? And that's how you present. It didn't take hardly any words. Present the benefit and put them emotionally there. And you're like, that's what we're selling. It has nothing to do with how we get there.
Exactly right. Hey guys, we're winding down on time. Anybody have any questions for Sam so that we can get that out there? Make sure it's on the recording, please. Here comes Eric.
There we go. Hey, so I've got, I guess limiting beliefs to being too salesy. I was just a technician, never had to sell anything. And then now, I'm starting to get more into residential. Where there's a lot of things I offer the customer where before I just threw it in. So I tend to ask like a lot of closed-ended questions. Yes, no, like, would you like a Wi-Fi thermostat? No, not like, oh, Wi-Fi thermostats are terrific. There's so many advantages to them. What do you think? And so anyhow, what do you say to like, I don't know, just like a lot of people that are still, companies fight amongst being a technician or being a salesman sort of, but just offering things. I don't know if I'm getting my question out there.
You are totally. I love this. Great question. So I absolutely, so my tagline is literally stop being weird and start selling. And it's very intentional that way because, everything we've talked about in this setting, in this context, seems, because we framed it as the sales training section, it seems and feels salesy because we're breaking it apart. But I had actually our next to me on our team, the number one person is the newest person, and she has zero background in heating and air other than being a dispatcher. So she steps into the sales team. She rides with several other people and rides with me, and then says, how come when I go with some of the other people, it seems like, it's kind of salesy, but when I ride with you, it just feels like you're having a normal conversation with them. And she's like, but you're the one that studies all this stuff and they never have. It's like, that's because this is one of those intentional things like I was talking about. We're going to flip that switch right now and you won't have a problem again. The reason it feels salesy is because you're thinking about you. The second you think about them, all of that drops off and it changes. Because if your focus is, hey, listen, I'm here to offer you some solutions. Let's go through some questions. I'm going to just ask you how your house is. And just be normal. You don't have to put on, how many people do we know that put on the weird sales voice? Like, oh, stop using that voice. Right? If you feel yourself shifting into it, stop and recalibrate. It's like, man, I'm just here to help. So, would you mind if I go through some questions, find out what's going on in the house, and then based on your answers, I'm going to look around. At the end, I'll show you what it'll take to fix that. And then it's up to you if you want to fix that in your home or not. And that's it. Does that help?
Yeah, it does. Thank you. Yeah, it's just, just learning that change, but and not asking close-ended questions, I think is a big.
And that's really, and that's why I like it. And at some point, a lot of people, at some point, some people may shift off of using an actual written questionnaire, but that's training wheels for how to use open-ended questions. It's training wheels of, Tell me more about that. You know, if you can say it, or if you could ask it as a question, always ask it as a question.
Thank you, Sam. I didn't mean to talk over as a delay. Hey guys, that Eric's question is so universally true to every one of us who's ever been a technician, and to go out there and offer somebody, especially if you're used to making a $6,000, $7,000 quote, and you go out and make a 10 and 12, and you're starting to feel like you got horns coming out of your head for offering this stuff. You got to stop thinking about that. Your doctor would never feel bad about running you through an MRI or whatever if he suspected anything. He's going to run you all the way through the ringer, and he'll never tell you, I'm sorry. Don't be sorry for doing a great job. Don't be sorry for being a true consultant of heating and air conditioning. And that's all you are. You're an expert. Throw the money out of the way and say, you like a quiet system? Well, that return's too short. We can take and put a sound loop in and quiet that down. We can put a media filter in there, a MERV 8, 10, 12, whatever rating is applicable, or MERV 16, and we can bring this room's cleanliness to the level of or general surgery in the hospital. You think that would help little Jimmy's breathing in the back in the corner bedroom? These are things. Forget about the money. It's not your money. Let them spend the money the way they want to, but be thorough and just look at the benefits. How do you feel about quiet? How do you feel about safety? How do you feel about the air, the quality of the air that you breathe, improving that? How do you feel about reducing the energy? And Sam mentioned that scale of 1 to 10. That's a really good indicator as to how important it is. If they're saying it's one thing is a 10, another thing is a 3, then when you know your equipment, don't tell them, well, this is a Carrier model, this and a Lennox model, that, and a Train model. Forget all that. I've got a system. We call this our clean package, our clean system. Mm-hmm. It is energy efficient on both heating and cooling. The air that it produces is so much cleaner than anything you've ever had. In fact, we have a system, an add-on that brings in fresh oxygen, exhausts all that stale air in your house, exchanges the energy, and saves you money on that. So you always have fresh oxygen coming into your house. How do you feel about that? You, and just come out. And if it's $50,000, then that's your starting point. Start removing, start reducing, go backwards, but don't go up, go down. But start with the very best that you have and show them how good you are at matching what they want. Don't match them model numbers, match them results, match them what benefits to them, right? I'm sorry, Sam.
That's it. Yeah, and that's it. You're just circling back and saying, now, Pete, you remember earlier when you said this was really important to you. Can you see how this is going to solve that problem for you? Can you see how this is going to get you that? And that's it. So as you're presenting you're doing the explanation of the equipment. How much? Oh, we're at 9. We're 5 after. Okay, we'll save this for another one. But top-down selling though is that it? So you start at the top with your pricing and you back down. Don't ever go up in your pricing when you're presenting. Start at the top and go backwards, because it is just real quick, Pete, just 2 things. Psychologically, you're getting the sticker shock over right away with this huge number. You're going to have people that say, yeah, that sounds great. The rest of them are going to be like, okay, that's too much. What else do we have? And then as you're backing down, you're going to land somewhere higher than you always would have had you started at the bottom. That's it. I'm done.
Excellent. Hey, and stop recording as soon as I finish talking here, but don't everybody go anywhere in just in case we have some non-recorded questions. So Sam, thank you for covering all of this. It's very light, guys. We can't cover but so much in just a few minutes, but the point is we need a process for everything. So for 12 months of consistent business, we need all of this stuff to bring the customers in, bring the opportunities in, bring the work in, maximize our employees' capacities in every role possible. And that's done through structure. It's done through the proper type of marketing, the internal marketing, all these different variables. But the bottom line is, when we get in front of the customer, what are we going to do? Our service tech, we covered that with Joe. Retail sales, we just covered that with Sam. You need a step-by-step process. From here, we're going to start moving into putting these pieces together and preparing for organically attracting customers. The day after tomorrow, Dennis is going to come in and he's going to be talking about Facebook and how to properly leverage the social media platforms so that you can start bringing these people in. Guys, when somebody responds to an ad, I know in my Yellow Page ads, I got 1 or 2 out of 10 estimates. They sucked because people they didn't know us. So I had to go in just like Sam and build all this rapport at the highest price company in town and win them over. But buddy, if they had our techs out or our maintenance techs out, we were closing at least half. And with our maintenance techs, 85 to 90% closing ratio because they knew us. But how do we take those cold ads and warm them up? Well, that's through social media. You can start introducing yourself early. People, you can be the local celebrity. These pieces all have to come together and nothing miss. If you miss one step, just like the sales process, something's going to fall off. It's like sales funnels. Every step beneath the next one needs to capture maximum results so that at the end of the day, your guys are busy, you're attracting quality employees, you're not having cash flow issues. In fact, you have stable income. You're not having to worry about paying the bill collectors and all this other stuff. I know, I've been there. I use my credit line to finance my business like we all have. And it took me a long time to get over that. But my first trail setting, just like what Sam teaches, I offered this system that was 40% higher than anything I'd ever offered before. And it closed. It closed on the first time. The guy was just impressed. He said, Pete, you were just so thorough. I'm not even going to get any more quotes. And it works. But we have to follow a process and be you. Don't be salesy. Be Eric. Be Wayne. Be Nick. Be Zeke. Be whoever, right? Adapt it to you. You are a professional consultant. So that's what this is about. Every piece matters. So you've gotten some foundation on the service part. Now we're going on the sales part, and we're going to keep going forward and building. And by the end of this process, you're going to have a lot of tools. You'll have the overview of how this is done. You're going to have to dig in and find out some of the details for yourself because we're a total of about 10 hours on this whole program, but hopefully you'll benefit. So, but thank you all. Oh, wait a minute. Before you hit stop, I got a chat question. Okay. Bunch of thanks. So, so we're done with the recording. You can stop at any time there. Thank you, Sam. Now we'll